There's more to British exploitation cinema than just hammer horror. There are also low-budget curiosities like this film. It's been described as eccentric, ambitious, experimental, and a host of other film critic-type words that we don't really care about. What's important for us is it features two bohemian lesbians who like to sunbathe naked, and their house guest is an alien who eats people. Welcome to Exploitation Reviews, and me, Rob, and today I'm taking a look at Prey, also known as Alien Prey, from 1977. After a month or so of pre-production, this film was shot in 10 days on a budget of around £50,000. That's a small production. Speaking of small productions, did you know I have a new book out? It's a collection of architecture photos from my city, Dortmund, Germany. It's not a city known for its beauty, but similar to the movies I like, I'm the kind of person who tries to find something interesting in places most people ignore. The book is available in hardcover and paperback. All proceeds from the book go to me, which I will use to buy more movies. Links are in the description. Back to the film. Despite its very low budget, in true exploitation fashion, the filmmakers were sure to include some things that we might want to see. So, let's take a look. We open on a voice contacting a command ship. We don't see a command ship, of course, because there was no budget for a command ship. Flashing lights, that's all we get. The lights wake up one of our characters. That's Jessica. She's the lover of Joe, but she has recently moved into her own room. Joe is short for Josephine, by the way, not Joseph. Anyway, our ladies are having some relationship troubles. We'll learn more about that later. In the meantime, someone is outside with a camera making animal sounds. The camera holder runs across this young couple making their own animal sounds, until the lady isn't into it anymore. The boy is frustrated, but you can't really blame a lady not wanting to make it with a guy whose idea of romance is a Volkswagen parked in the forest. Come on, England, don't you have parking lots? The boy heads out for a pee, which, if you think about it, suggests the girl wasn't that interesting anyway. Anyway, he's killed by this thing. Cool, 5 minutes in and we see the alien. The girl runs and then her boy saves her. Oh, but it's not her boy. Our alien is a shapeshifter. The next morning, our couple have some breakfast, and the news reports people saw some flashing lights the previous night, and the ladies decide to take a walk around and see if they can find some evidence of this spaceship. They do find some killed rabbits, which Joe blames on a fox. Jessica says she wants to take a trip, alone. But Joe is a very controlling sort, and she says she cannot allow that to happen. So they've got a really healthy relationship. And then they meet Anderson. Joe wants him gone, of course, but Jessica wants to take care of him. He's got a hurt leg. He acts a bit weird. Jessica thinks he escaped from an institution. Joe thinks all men are strange.
He's weird, don't you think? No weirder than most males. I don't mean that.
Oh, Joe, you old cliché, you. The police locate the car of the couple that Anderson had killed the night before, but before they can do anything with their investigation, Anderson takes care of them. The ladies invite Anderson to dinner. You might be surprised to hear this, but our bohemian lesbians are vegetarians.
Are you all right?
Okay, so the main drama in this film, aside from the fact that Anderson is an alien who eats people, is Jessica is afraid of Joe and wants to leave the relationship. But Joe is controlling and more than a bit frightening. In fact, when Jessica finds evidence that Joe killed one of their friends, a man named Simon, who Jessica thought was attractive, the idea that Joe is also dangerously unhinged is really hammered home. That night, the sounds of Joe hammering something else home catches Anderson's attention. The next day, Joe discovers her chickens have been killed, and the trio set out to hunt the fox that did it. Anderson successfully kills that fox, and the trio celebrate by having a fancy party. Anderson, of course, doesn't have fancy clothes for a fancy party, but the ladies have a great idea. They put him in a dress. I did not see that coming, but doesn't he look like that goth chick in the Breakfast Club after her makeover?
Don't you forget about me.
Anyway, because the movie wasn't weird enough, the trio decide to play hide and seek. During the game, Joe finds the fox they had killed earlier has been partially eaten. She thinks Anderson is dangerous and pulls out her knife. Oh man, look at the size of that thing. Are you compensating for something, Joe? Oh yeah, I guess she would be. So, what will happen with this couple? Will they work out their differences? Will Jessica manage to get away from the unhinged Joe? Will either of them be safe now that a carnivorous alien is their house guest? Well, that's enough out of me as far as plot goes. Let's talk some highlights. Well, this is a very low-budget movie, so rather than being an effects-driven sci-fi horror, it's a character-driven sci-fi horror, and that works pretty well. The characters are interesting, and the acting is solid. A rural lesbian couple with relationship issues and a dark history play host to a murderous, shape-shifting alien. How could that not be cool? So, while the movie has some shocking violence and fun twist, a bit of gore, 2 sex scenes, and a nude sunbathing scene, it's good that when we're not seeing any of that fun stuff, we have an interesting story to follow as well. Not gonna lie, that story does get pretty weird, but it's always interesting. I particularly like how we learn more and more about how disturbed Joe is throughout the film. This movie has 2 monsters in it. But it's not a perfect movie, like a lesbian couple working out their problems with a little sexual healing. This film has some shortcomings. Well, the low budget does show at times, particularly with the audio. I don't know if it was the equipment or how it was used, but there's a lot of hissing in the recording, especially when characters use S words.
I think I'd better leave in the morning.
Yes.
Yeah, it can be a little bit distracting if you, like me, notice such things. Visually, the film is fine. Better than fine, actually. It's got some great shot composition, nice colors, everything's in focus, Jessica is super hot. Yeah, it works. But the audio is not up to that level. Beyond that, as much as I like the script, the couple is interesting and their backstory and current troubles are handled very well, there is a bit of silliness with the alien story. I mean, he's here on Earth looking for a new food source, so I don't really understand why he hangs out with this couple at all, considering some of the things he ate before he met them are presumably nutritious. The movie doesn't really explain that very well. Also, it's weird that an alien race could be advanced enough to travel to Earth but not know what water is. And what's really weird is this isn't the only movie to make that mistake, but this movie has naked lesbians and a bit of gore, so it's excusable. There's no excuse for M. Night Shyamalan.